So about you forgetting to put on pants when you went to the bus this morning. Tell me exactly what happened.
Well, no, I didn't forget my pants. But
Oh, well, you said you got on the bus and some guy was laughing uncontrollably, and his we're at the point where he had tears coming down his face.
yeah, well, after work today, I got on the bus and I sat down, and there's one guy that was sitting there, and he had earbuds in, and he was just talking on the phone with, I think it was his brother, because they were talking about their mom and like how she needed to go get biscuits and stuff like that. I don't know. I can only hear his side of the story, but the dude had like tears coming down his face because he was laughing so hard. And then they started talking about like some girl that they knew, and they saw at a club, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, she could like pick up people and like swing them around like it was grease and shit like that, and, you know, like doing all of that shit." And then he said she looks like Wesley Snipes with her weaves, and so then I think it's because just that like because there's 4 or 5 of us that were all just kind of just listening to it, because usually on the bus it's just quiet and everyone just kind of stares, you know, ahead. And I think that just that mental image just kind of like popped into everybody's mind. And there's at least 4 or 5 of us that were all sitting there, and we just all just started busting up laughing. Just,
That's awesome.
It's just like you're just sitting there, and all of a sudden you have like this mental image of Wesley Snipes with big, huge, you know, like a whole bunch of long hair and weaves coming out of his. But yeah, that was pretty much the most exciting thing that's happened on the bus so far, other than, you know, creepy, scary people that make me very uncomfortable. But
well, yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining Ryan on his edition of Ryan's Bus Adventures. This week, pantless Ryan ran into female Wesley Snipes, throwing people around like grease.
I have not been stabbed yet, so that's always a good thing.
Well, what everybody, I think we should start the show, though, on that note.
Woohoo!
Welcome to Geek Dad Report, everybody.
Episode 56.
That's Star Wars. Hang on. There it is.
Yeah. Oh, we them bad boys. The MC7, for the aces. Let's go.
What up, everybody? Welcome, like Ryan said, to the 56th edition of the Geek Dad Report. The one show dedicated, formulated, specially created into telling you stories about pantless Ryan on the bus. And also making sure that you get all the information you need to know so you can keep your valuable time just that valuable and regale people with your amazing knowledge of everything in the pop culture world. As always, is your not-so-humble host, Brian West, and that is my beautifully pantless bus-faring partner, Ryan Tomlinson.
Yes, I normally do wear pants. It's hot. I'm on the East Coast. It's 87 degrees with 97% humidity. So, you know, you gotta take off them.
There's people in Florida right now telling you to stop whining.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
That's all right. No, as a guy who lives on the West Coast, that sounds fucking terrible. So we will not no pants shame you, all right? You can not wear pants all you like to, especially on this show. Because on this show, people, we like to keep our eyes up here.
Yeah.
That's all we're saying. Oh, so how you doing, buddy? How was your weekend? How was Memorial Day?
Oh, my Memorial weekend, I mean, where I sat in my apartment and watched TV. And
sounds glorious.
My wife and kids will be here in about 3 or 4 days. Ooh. They're currently driving across the United States.
You poor bastard.
I had to, you know, finally vacuum and, you know, clean up shit and stuff like that I've been putting off for a while. So that was my Memorial Day weekend. How about you?
Well, my Memorial Day weekend was pretty cool. We, I think we talked about on the show a little bit last week. Got the kids and loaded up the camper, and we went over to a friend's house who had some waterfront property out here on the Puget Sound, and we camped there. So I guess you know, as much camping as you can do in a trailer that has power. But no, we had a good time. I mean, the kids. There was a bunch of people there with kids, and the kids kind of ran around and just played. What's nice when you have a lot of people who have kids is kind of the village mentality. So everybody kind of watches each other's kids and gives everybody a little bit of break. So not everybody has to watch like a hawk. Everybody can kind of relax and just be adults. And I drink a lot.
Yeah. Or there's that one person who's like trying to stay sober, and you're like, well, you're the designated child watcher.
Yeah, well, that wasn't me. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I'm around my kids and other kids, I don't get totally wasted. But I steadily drank all day long. It was glorious.
Yeah.
So no, it was fun. It was relaxing. Obviously, we barbecued because we were camping and did some fun stuff. But it was holy giant fly. Sorry, there's a.
I was going to say, are you under attack right now?
Dude, there is literally Jeff Goldblum flying around my house right now. Holy Jesus, that thing was huge. It was like a flyzilla. Dude, that thing was a monster. It was humongous. Of course, it's Godzilla when you need him. But yeah, we had a good time. It was fun. I mean, not much to say. Kids rode around on bikes. Any of my friends who follow me on Facebook saw me on a beautiful pink Razor scooter that I was scooting around with the kids. And I did ride a pink Barbie bike with the children at least once or twice. Nice. It was pretty fun. I had a good time. But, I don't know. Well, since you don't have kids with you right now, and your Geek Dad moment is probably with you waiting for your children to get there.
Essentially.
I didn't do anything geeky with my kids because we did outdoor. We did camping stuff. I mean, we went and found some crabs, and we went clamming and taught my daughter how to skip a rock on the ocean. So that was cool.
That's pretty cool.
So,
it's good.
So I guess we'll just call that our Geek Dad moments of the week this week, unless you have something you really want to add.
Well, no, I got nothing.
I did see your kids in front of Mount Rushmore. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty. Yesterday they were at Mount Rushmore with my wife, so they're kind of taking the more scenic trip. So
yeah,
which also costs more because they're staying at the hotels more. So.
It was pretty funny, and I realize this is going to be ironic considering what I'm about to say, but I saw a picture of your kid standing in front of Mount Rushmore, and it looked like a picture. What I mean by that, people, is that it's funny. Mount Rushmore actually looks like someone painted Mount Rushmore on a wall, and your kids are just standing in front of it. I've never been to Mount Rushmore. It's one of the few places I would really like to go that I haven't had a chance to visit yet. But, I don't know. Was that just me, or did you, when you saw that, did you think the same thing?
I knew they were there, so I didn't have the...
Well, I knew they were there, too. I just meant, like...
No, it looked pretty real to me, Brian. I don't know what you're talking about.
Whatever.
Are you trying to say my family's a bunch of fakes? Is that what you're trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is your family is not actually coming to live with you. Right now, they're coming up with this grand ruse that they are traveling all over the place in front of fake green screens that they made themselves, and all of a sudden you're gonna hear. I'm telling you about. They're supposed to be there on Sunday. Probably Friday night, you're gonna get this weird, tragic voicemail. I see aliens. I think we're being abducted, and then they're gonna be in Mexico living it up, and you'll be stuck in Philadelphia. I'll still be your friend.
Yeah, that would be sad.
You know, I feel like my story had much better build up than the payoff. Just moving to Mexico and living it up is not really.
A lot better. That payoff was not.
Yeah, that was.
We should just hop right into the sponsors.
That was like I just delivered like an M. Night Shyamalan movie right then. I feel bad about that. I'm gonna come up with something better.
Or it could be the next, like the last X-Men movie.
Yeah.
That wasn't really.
You are really trying to segue us right now. All right. I am gonna come up with a better. I'm gonna come up with a better destination for your family's fake runaway to before the end of the show. And if you out there, if any of you Faithful 50 would like to hashtag Ryan's fake family destination, family fake destination, and tell us where you think Ryan's family is actually going instead of coming to live with Ryan, you let us know.
At least one.
Yeah, at least one. Well, you know who else is going to need some place to live soon, Ryan? The X-Men. Like you so brilliantly tried to just transition us, and I destroyed you. Destroyed your brilliance there. Just shit all over it. You were like, hey, Brian, here's a beautiful segue. And I just said, nope, dropped my trowel and said, right on top of it. So
nope, I'm going to ramble on for a couple minutes and just fuck up the whole time frame that we're going with here. We're supposed to be 15 minutes in by now.
I'm going to own that one. I'm going to say that was my fault. Yes. And we're just going to move on. Pretend it didn't happen. So why don't you throw another transition out there and I'll just run with it.
So
anyway, Ryan, your family
people that are suffering these days as much as I've been suffering without my family.
Oh.
So do you?
Too bad they haven't been suffering without you. All right. Anyway, sorry. Once again, shit all over it. What Ryan's so graciously trying to point me to is that we'd like to talk about our new sponsor today. Our new sponsor has given us a lot of cash, and so we have to be very nice about them, how we talk about them. No, it is something that I think is dear to both me and Ryan's heart. So this is not just because we're getting paid. This is something that very much concerns us and deeply worries us going forward. We are being sponsored by the X-Men Relief Fund. So basically a lot of people, a bunch of charity groups have realized that the X-Men struggles today are real. Right now they have a movie that everyone just shit all over in the critic circles, and it didn't make nearly as much money as Fox wanted it to make, and so it's being widely considered to not be very well. In fact, I've heard some people that said X-Men 3 The Last Stand is genius compared to X-Men Age of Apocalypse, and that's saying something, people. So right now it currently only ranks higher than X-Men Origins Wolverine, and anybody who's seen that classic knows how real the X-Men's struggle is right now.
But the only thing that came out of that one was at least we got a better Deadpool. So.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if we're gonna get a better anything, considering Bryan Singer thinks the next X-Men movie should be a Mystique solo movie. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, the X-Men are struggling not only in cinema but on the pages of comics right now. I mean, their parent company Marvel, because of Fox and Bryan Singer's idiocracy, are basically killing all the mutants off in the comic books right now, and it's a terrible time to be a mutant, especially fans of us who loved them so much growing up in the 80s and 90s and early aughts. This is very painful for us, and so all of us have gotten together to start this X-Men Relief Fund. So basically what they want us to tell you is that they are selling all the brilliant, amazing 1990s merchandise, the comic books, the t-shirts, the animated series on VHS, because everyone knows the only real way to watch something from the 90s is on VHS. Yes. And all proceeds will go to help supporting the X-Men and buying them back from Fox and giving them back to where they belong, Marvel, and getting them out of the hands of the evil man known as Bryan Singer. And that's, of course, Bryan with a Y. Don't fucking trust him.
And if you kind of want to know like how bad some of the X-Men are, Wolverine has been standing on street corners, doing some very illicit things so that he can keep up with his cigar habit.
Yes.
And people said that Cyclops had to change the type of crystal that covers his visor.
Yes, he could not afford the red ruby supervisor. In fact, he had to downgrade to the Walmart Redland special sunglasses.
Yeah, and so he's been having to close his eyes a lot and not to be able to get around. And
I mean, Apocalypse, for crying out loud. No one feels sad for Apocalypse. He's a total asshole, but he has been so financially ruined from these movies that he could not even don the great armor of the 90s. In fact, he had to settle for some really crappy Egyptian knockoff that he got at a pawn shop in Cairo. It's awful. It's terrible, and it's honestly it's just tragic. It's a travesty.
So all the money raised goes to help out the X-Men so that they can have better funding and maybe do something that people actually really like. So.
Yeah, I mean, Deadpool did try and do his part this year, and he did a lot to really help his fellow X-Men. In
true Deadpool sense, though, he took all the money and then blew it on hookers and
and chimichangas.
So all that money's actually gone now. So
I mean, you could really say that someone got a pegging.
Yeah, it's really.
It was terrible. So anyway, we don't want to run this too much longer.
Buy their stuff and support the X-Men Relief Fund.
Yeah, me and Ryan will put a link on our show if you'd like to purchase bootleg copies of the X-Men animated series. I believe I have them all recorded on VHS somewhere. I'd be more than happy to sell them to you for the low introductory cost of $100,000. But like we said, all that money will eventually make its way right back to the X-Men. I promise.
Yes. Please don't make Wolverine have to sell all his adamantium out, out of his body so that he can sell it for scrap metal.
Those healing powers can only fix his lips so many times. Anyway,
that was great.
I think that was worth every penny that they gave us.
Yeah,
we're gonna have those MacBooks in no time.
Oh yeah,
Apple releases them. You know, Ryan, I could have got us MacBooks for free if you would have let me go back in time, like we talked about last week, and invest my $300 into Apple shares.
No, I'm done trying to explain the financial systems to you.
Whatever. It's because you don't understand them. You don't understand how money works, Ryan.
Yeah.
This is why I do not let you have the Geek Dad Report credit card.
We have a credit card?
Anyway, on that note, moving on to Ninja News.
Hey.
All right, did you come up with something good? You know what? I think I am going to bring back. We're going to start bringing back our Vanilla Ice intro. Copyright laws, be damned.
It takes too many seconds away.
Yeah, that's probably true. Anyway, time for Ninja News, people. Hoo-yah! Hoo-yah! Yeah, it's called the uppercut of knowledge, the double eye gouge of information. And did you have something? Come on, give me something, Ryan. Give me something.
The ear twist
of
information.
Yo, I already used information. You fucking suck at this game. All right, homework assignment. Ryan is going to come up with his own special move, and it's going to be awesome. And in case, we're going to start just hashtagging everything. Because you know what? I saw it on last week tonight on John Oliver's show, and I'm going to just steal anything I can that will make us famous. So, hashtag help Ryan. Help Ryan's ninja moves. I don't know. I can't ever think of hashtags. So if you can think of a good hashtag that we can start a trend where you can help Ryan, hashtag come up with a better fucking move. Please, we'll take suggestions. Ryan needs all the help he can get. Anyway, on Ninja News. So should we lead with our Star Wars, or do you want to finish up with that news since that's the big news of the week?
Let's start with Star Wars. We used to always start with Star Wars.
Someone say Star Wars? Boom. That's right. Star Wars news, people. Look at the lightsaber of doom right there. Red rocket, red rocket. Ooh. Yeah. All right. So the news this week is there's some speculation, some updates, and a little bit of I don't know. I guess things we can kind of technically report. So the news this week, it revolves around Rogue One and some massive reshoots that is undertaking. So there's been some rumors that there may be some issues with Rogue One coming. There was what?
Well, it's coming in December, but they just had like a screening for a whole bunch of Disney executives, and Disney executives were like,
Well, we were getting there. What I was going to say is some rumors of some early problems started surfacing a few weeks ago. A book company who's doing the tie-in visual guide for Rogue One released some stuff. Disney immediately asked for it to be pulled on the grounds that these characters were not yet set in stone, and people were kind of like, huh? What do you mean these characters aren't quite set in stone? There was the Marvel Comics tie-in for Rogue One for the movie tie-in was immediately pulled off of shelves. They asked why, and they said, well, once again, because the story's not completely set in stone. And then, like you said, they did a screening for some of the executives, and apparently they were less than enthused with the movie. It sounds like, originally people kind of all lost their shit, and basically everybody hit the panic button and said, oh my god, the Rogue One is having all kinds of issues, and it's never going to, no. From what it sounds like, they always did plan some reshoots, so that is not uncommon for a movie to reshoot. 4 weeks of reshoots is a little bit longer than most movies, but once again, a movie of this size and scope, a month of reshoots is not completely unheard of. But it does sound like the big problem is this movie's really, really dark. Like the first trailer kind of showed it, and it is more of a war movie, and that Disney's big problem is that apparently it does not even remotely feel tonally like A New Hope. And so their goal is that this movie basically ends where New Hope begins. So, I mean, most of us speculate that the movie Rogue One's about a team of elite soldiers stealing the Death Star plans, which we know about from A New Hope because that's what Princess Leia puts into R2-D2 at the beginning of that movie. So we all kind of speculated that those were somehow going to make their way into Leia's hands at the very end of Rogue One. And it does sound like that's kind of what's going to happen. But Disney wants you to be able to watch Rogue One and then watch A New Hope and be like, oh, okay, this is just like a continuation of the story. And apparently that is not the case. This movie, they say, could not feel more different than Star Wars in general.
Well, I don't know. I kind of want like a Disney to do a Star Wars. If they're going to do a war movie, do it like a Saving Private Ryan, like where you have like the storming of the beach scene, you know, something like that.
Stormtroopers getting murdered and guts flying out.
It's like rebels coming up to one of the Star Destroyers and just plopping open their things and just trying to run out and all just getting shot. And everything.
I think the bloody hand on Finn's helmet from Episode 7 is probably the most violent we're going to get with the Star Wars movie. But, well, I mean, anybody who saw the trailer for Rogue One, you could tell it was a darker movie. It had that dark tones. But I guess, and I don't really blame Disney's execs for this. Episode 7 was a massive hit, and that's the tone they want to set for their Star Wars movies. I do feel a little bit bad for Gareth Edwards, the director of Rogue One, because I feel like this is the pitch he used to get this movie, and this was his idea, and I think he probably delivered on what he said, but I think maybe Disney didn't quite understand what they were getting into when they said, listen, we want to make a Star Wars war movie. Well, a Star Wars war movie is not what Star Wars is. I mean, it's, you know, happy fantasy.
But like I told you, you know, a couple of days ago, Disney is due to have one, like, fucked up movie.
Yeah.
That where it doesn't do as well, because, like, really, what has, like, gone bad from a Disney movie lately?
Alice in Wonderland sequel tanked.
They're gonna have
hard.
a fuck up.
Dude, Through the Looking Glass tanked hard this weekend. So hard.
Yeah. I forgot about that. That was a Disney movie.
Yeah, but to your point, you're right. I mean, they haven't done a lot wrong, and with their Marvel movies, and they've been great. All their Marvel movies have been great, and you know, Episode 7 was amazing. But I think this is the problem that you do run into when you want to make movies that are different from your main saga. You do run the risk of you bring in these different directors who direct different ways, and you're not going to get. You know, you're not going to get Episode 7, but a different tone. You know, I mean, a different story.
Yeah.
It's
you're not going to get like Episode 7 from like a parallel perspective. You know, it's like the same stuff going on, but it's just a different perspective. They're trying to bring in a whole before the even start of the movies.
Well,
so
I think what they're trying to do is I think they have it in their head a template of what they want their movies to be. So, like for instance, with the Marvel movies. They may be different stories in different genres, but they have that same feel. When you go see a Marvel movie, even the darker ones, it feels a specific way. And I think that's what they want with Star Wars. I just don't think they quite know how to do it yet. So my guess is they watched this Rogue One movie. I know a lot of people are freaking out that maybe this means it's not good. I don't think that's the case. I think this movie's going to be good. I just think that when they watch this,
watch the shit out of it.
Yeah, I think when the Disney's execs saw this, they were like, "Holy crap, this movie's dark as hell, and this is gonna scare 9-year-olds."
I don't want.
Yeah, and I don't think this is good news for like you said. I don't think this is good news for us older Star Wars fans who kind of were really excited about the idea of a darker Star Wars movie. My guess is that they saw this and said, I can't take my 8-year-old to this. Kind of like what I felt like when I watched Batman v Superman. I'm like, I can't take my 7-year-old daughter to see this movie. This movie's way too dark. So, my guess is that not even my guess, Disney's came out and basically said that these 4 weeks of reshoots, they're going to try and match the tone. It sounds like they want to add a little more humor, a little lighter tone to the movie, and make it feel more like the Star Wars movies are right now. So kind of that family-friendly, you know, fantasy opera story that everybody seemed to really love and resonate with. Maybe, you know, and maybe when they greenlit Rogue One, they didn't anticipate everyone loving the soap opera elements so much, that the happy elements so much of Episode 7. Maybe they thought that they would like the darker stuff, the Kylo Ren stuff, because that movie's got some darkness in it too, a lot darker than some of the other movies. But I think people were drawn much more to the inspiring aspect of Star Wars instead of the darker aspect of Star Wars, which
that's kind of what Star Wars is, though.
Yeah, and it is what you're right. It's exactly what Star Wars is. I mean, I do enjoy the darker aspect of Star Wars from time to time, and it's unfortunate that this movie may suffer because of its timing. I think had they already had 5 or 6 Star Wars movies out, they might be more prone to release more of a, teenage adult type Star Wars movies, like it sounds like Rogue One was. But You know, well, this is we were all happy that Disney got Star Wars, but this is definitely one of the I'm not gonna say negative because we don't know what they saw, and maybe they're gonna make the movie. Maybe it will be much better. Maybe when this is all said and done, the way that they want it will be a better movie. But anybody, excuse me, anybody hoping for a, I don't know, sorry, all of a sudden got a frog in my throat. Go ahead and talk for a minute while I clear this thing.
I think we talked enough about Star Wars, to be honest.
But
it's gonna be a good movie.
It's gonna be a good movie. Sorry everybody for that clearing of the throat there. But anybody hoping for a really dark Star Wars movie, it sounds like you're probably not gonna get it. So.
Yes.
But do not fear. Disney has got this shit on lockdown, and it's going to be fantastic when it comes out in December.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Next story. What do we got, Ryan? What's in the hopper?
X-Men spinoffs.
Oh, God. All right. Cool.
The Legion show, or Legion got a series order on the FX, and if you don't know, Legion's essentially, I think it's Scott Summers' son, right?
Nope. Legion is the son of...
Professor Xavier's
He is son. Professor Xavier's son, and from what I hear, because it's Fox, and the X-Men need your money, and the X-Men are really fun, these are the reasons why, Fox has decided that this Legion is actually has no relation to Professor X.
Oh, man, them Fox's show.
Yep, and from what I can gather, and from what I've heard, is that this actually has no relation to the X-Men movie universe either, so...
Okay,
yeah, this ought to be great.
So basically, Legion is going to be on FX, and you're not going to want to watch it. Nobody else is going to want to watch it. And then, yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, on that note, please call into the X-Men Relief Fund. It's 1-800-Brian Singer Sucks, and donate money to help get them away from Fox.
We can always move on to a movie.
Flash. The new Flash movie was recently announced that the director from Flash, the new upcoming Warner Brothers DC movie, had either stepped down or been canned. No one seemed to know, but he left the Flash movie, and they have found a new director. What?
Creative differences was his reason.
Yeah, I feel like that's whatever everybody says when you get fired and they don't want to say that they fired you. Yeah, so the new director, because I didn't write it down, I'm looking it up right now. The new director of Flash has been found. It's from a movie, his last movie. Dope. Never heard of it. His name is Rick Famuyiwa.
Yeah. That's not something you can remember off the top of your head.
Yeah, it's Rick. So, Rick from Walking Dead is directing The Flash. So it should be really dark. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, unless he got beat up with a baseball bat, and he's just really fucked up now. So.
Carl's been cast as The Flash. Where did that go off? I don't even know.
Someone's calling you.
No, that was my alarm.
So yeah, The Flash has got a new director. They've already had the actor, and it's supposed to be set to start filming after the Justice League, I believe.
Yes. So. You know what? I'll be honest. I'm a huge DC fan, but I don't even know what their slate of movies is right now because with all their reshuffling and moving around of dates and stuff, the only thing I know is that Justice League is being filmed right now, and that Wonder Woman is due out early next year.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, kind of leading into that, one thing that I do know is coming out actually on digital at the end of this month and on Divid and Blu-ray, they are early July, is the new Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, the director's cut that we've all wanted to see. Well, most of it.
And it's what, 3 hours long, right?
Yeah, I think it's a tad bit over 3 hours. It's either like 2:59 or like 3:01. It's rated
Even
R.
the trailer.
What?
And I've already seen the goddamn movie, and the trailers for the Ultimate Edition look pretty good.
Yeah, they released. Well, that's what we're talking about today. They released the first trailer for the Ultimate Edition, and the trailer was infinitely better than the story we got in the movie, and it was a 1.5 minute trailer.
Yeah, so I think it just kind of shows that there's probably a lot of stuff that they had to cut from the movie for whatever, aesthetic reason that they did that really justifies the Ultimate Edition. So
well, and we did our review, and if you guys haven't watched our review, you can find it on our Geek Dad Report YouTube page. We felt like there was a good movie there, but if we felt like that had just been butchered in the editing bay, and that there was so much story left out that you couldn't really get any emotional connection to any of these characters. So I'm really hoping that I enjoyed Batman v Superman. I know there's some people who felt the movie was completely broken, so I doubt that even the director's cut is going to, change their mind. But I think both of us think that 30 minutes of, of story and character development could go a long way into revisiting this. So maybe what we'll do, I think me and Ryan, we haven't talked about it, but I think maybe we'll commit to, we'll get the movie and we'll do a second review of the movie after we watch it.
And they're not going to shout Martha this time.
Well, I feel like you said, there is going to still be a few fundamental things, but maybe they can expand on why that triggers so much more in Bruce, other than the fact that his mom just was named Martha. So I don't know. Maybe they could show him having more PTSD with his mom. Maybe he's having massive dreams about his mother lately or something. Or maybe we get another Flash scene where Flash comes back in the past and says something about Martha, which would make a hell of a lot more sense when all of a sudden when, he says the events are set around Martha or something like that. And so, then all of a sudden when Superman says Martha, Batman's like, oh shit, some dude just came back from the future and told me about Martha. I thought it was a dream. That would explain why he's like, why'd you say Martha? Maybe because somebody told you that was going to be a big moment. Makes a lot more sense than our mom's names are Martha.
That's my mom's name too.
Yeah.
Are we best friends now?
I still think they should have done that in Civil War, where like Captain America's mom's name was Martha.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
I'm surprised Marvel, being the a-holes they are to DC, sometimes didn't just like retcon that in real quick.
They could have if they wanted to.
It'd been so great. It was such a dick move, but it'd been hilarious. All right, moving on. Some more comic news.
Speaking of Marvel,
and assholes, Thor. Mjolnir. Meow meow. Thor 3 news. I know we talked about it last week. It seems like we're probably going to have weekly Thor news because the movie is starting to ramp up into pre-production right now. But I forget who said it, but I believe somebody was talking to Entertainment Weekly, and or maybe it was Entertainment Week. I don't know. There was some media site out there who reported that apparently Thor 3 is in fact going to be a mix of Thor Ragnarok comic book and the Thor Ragnarok storyline from mythology a little bit. And, wait for it everybody, Planet Hulk. Oh yeah.
And possibly Hulk in the Planet Hulk armor.
Yeah, well, not possibly. Apparently he is going to be.
With Thor, possibly gladiator fighting.
Yeah. So apparently Thor is also sporting a shaved head, courtesy of Ragnar Lothbrok on the new Viking show. So yes, we could see a shaven head Thor sporting an axe, and Hulk in his Planet Hulk gladiator costumes fighting each other in a Planet Hulk Thor Ragnarok team-up smash-up movie. Fuck yes.
Yeah.
And if you have not read
DC,
if you have not read Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, I suggest you pause our show right now, or keep it on as background noise, pull out your phone, go to Amazon, and buy it right now. There's 2 graphic novels. Buy them both. They are 2 of the best storylines I've read in the last 10 years. I love them.
And Brian let me borrow them because I hadn't seen them, and they were awesome.
And he loved them too.
I still haven't read Ragnarok yet, but I'll have to try and get around.
Yeah, me either. I haven't read that one either, but we'll get to it at some point. All right, so as you can tell, we're very excited. More news as we hear it, but I know we talked a lot about Thor last week, but we just had to report that, so we're pretty excited about it. If you want to know where I found that article, I don't know, hit me up later or just Google it. It's been all over the webs. Let's see what we got here. Last little bit of news, we got some more Marvel news, because DC can't have any news without Marvel also having news.
Yes.
Let's see. Spider-Man. So we talked a while ago about the animated Spider-Man movie is going forward at Sony. They're doing an actual theatrical movie, an animated movie. And me and Ryan thought that was both kind of a strange idea considering they are rebooting Spider-Man with Marvel. And we didn't know what kind of stories they would tell in the animated, but it does sound like it's actually going to be kind of cool. It sounds like their Spider-Man's going to be Miles Morales. A lot of people have been clamoring for him. He is the Ultimate Spider-Man from the Ultimate Universe that came over. I believe he's in the actual Spider-Man universe now.
Yeah, but I think he's still got his own comic and stuff.
Yeah, and he is a great Spider-Man, and I am I saw that and I immediately became excited for this movie. I think it's a great idea to do a different Spider-Man. Fans have long wanted Miles Morales to be to be in Spider-Man because he's such a great character. I think this is kind of the best of both worlds. You can give him his own platform, but at the same time not screw with what, Sony and Marvel are doing, which right now is really good things. And Ryan finally saw Civil War, so he knows what I'm talking about. Tom Holland is awesome as Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man was, like I told Brian, that Spider-Man steals the show during that whole team-up battle scene. So,
oh yeah,
it was good stuff. I'm looking forward to getting more of it. So,
all right, and last little bit of news is we may finally have some our Captain Marvel for the upcoming Captain Marvel movie. It sounds like rumors came out today. I believe it's just today that it broke that Brie Larson. I think it's Larson, the Academy Award-winning Best Actress, Brie Larson, who just won this year, is the front runner to play Captain Marvel. I hadn't really thought about her in the role, but I think that is going to be a great cast if they get it.
Yeah, and I like what she's been doing lately. So she seems like a good fit for Captain Marvel. And for Marvel to finally get on, they can actually have female characters in movies that aren't side characters, so
yeah,
it'd be nice.
Yes, it would be. All right, so that is pretty much all the news we got for you guys.
Woo!
Yay! Blew right through it as always. All right, so up next we have a special. We teased it yesterday when I was doing it, or when I was watching it, and we got a fun little review for you. I think I'm more excited to talk about than Ryan is.
Yes, you are.
So this week on Craptastic, me and Ryan watched the Netflix original Adam Sandler movie, The Do-Over.
Yes, and I would do over this idea of watching the movie. I didn't like it at all. About 1 hour in, I sent Brian a text message saying, "I don't know if I can finish this." I lost interest in the whole goddamn movie 45 minutes into it. It's an hour and 48 minutes long. And 45 minutes into it, I was like, I walked into my kitchen.
Right, well, hey.
Just left the movie on.
Before you completely blow your load on this, let's tell people what the movie's about. So this is the second Netflix original movie from Adam Sandler. I believe he signed a 4-picture deal. This one, the first one was Ridiculous 6. This one, The Do-Over, is Adam Sandler and David Spade are the two main leads. David Spade is basically think Joe Dirt, but even a bigger loser and not really as lovable. He has a dead-end job, and he's married to a woman who cheats on him all the time, and he's raising someone else's kids who hate him, and he's driving the same car he did in high school, living in the same house.
He lives in his parents' house from high school.
Same job
from high school.
And his life is going nowhere. And so he's at this class reunion, and he runs into Adam Sandler, who may or may not be an FBI agent, who just basically he's like, "Wow, man, your life sucks." He's like, "You know what? I want you to have some fun with me." And so he kind of lures him into going out on this boat with him and just enjoying his life, taking some chances and doing some stuff. I mean, Adam Sandler basically tells him how his life's been so great and everything's awesome, and David Spade wants that. And then, what's Adam Sandler's name? Max. And I don't even know his name's Max because his nickname is Maxi Pad. So, yes, Max. The humor in this movie was definitely written by a 6th grader. I will say that right now. That being said, it's like a rated R movie written by a 6th grader. So, side note, if you're a parent, do not let your kids watch this. This is it says TV mature, but it is a hard rated R movie. There is lots of swearing, nudity, a lot of really homoerotic stuff in this.
You see male testicles.
Yes, there's pegging, which all of a sudden, apparently I've seen more pegging on the big screen in the last few months than I think I've ever seen, but there's that.
I forgot pegging existed until
I didn't. You'll never forget now. Just watch Deadpool in this movie. But anyway, and then the story kind of goes on. So basically, the boat they're on explodes, and Adam Sandler has faked their deaths, and they decided to do it all over again. So that hence the name of The Do-Over. They're going to live new lives, and they they find this key and they see where it takes them, and it takes them on this kind of grand adventure. So if you do want to watch it, there is some kind of twist in this movie a little bit. The story isn't quite as simple as it sounds, or as simple as Ryan wants to make it out. Whether you're invested or not, it's a different story, but the story does definitely go in a few different places and has kind of a surprise ending and kind of some reveals along the way. So
the ending was actually surprising. I was thinking it was going to go one direction.
Yeah, same here.
I thought when it did all the reveal stuff, I was like, oh.
So
I got it.
You've already kind of said you clearly didn't like the movie. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's a great movie. This movie is terrible. It's a terrible movie. But I did, early on, I was laughing more than I probably should have. About at the halfway point, I'm kind of with you. I was kind of starting to get bored and tired of a lot of the jokes and stuff. But then the movie, remember the old Adam Sandler movies? They were always goofy and stupid, but they always tended to have a little bit of heart that you could kind of latch onto. This movie, I felt like kind of found that a little bit. Not as much as maybe his past movies. This is definitely not one of his better movies. But I felt like this movie had that same Adam Sandler heart a little bit in the last act, in the last 40 minutes of this movie, that kind of, when some of the reveals happened, it hooked me back in, and I actually wanted to see how this movie ended. And I'm glad I did, because the ending was pretty funny. There is a gymnastic giant German guy who is so... Yeah, see? You just mentioned when Ryan laughs. There's some funny stuff in this movie.
He's like 10 feet tall.
Well, they get to this weird, like, homoerotic torture thing at the end. It's really funny.
Okay, I gotta admit, that part, I was laughing when Adam Sandler was trying to convince him that, because I'll just ruin it. So the guy is going to torture Adam Sandler, and he's going to do it by sticking something up his ass.
This giant, like, thing, club.
Like, oh, that's pretty gay. And the guy's like, I'm not gay, and so basically Adam Sandler's trying to get out of it by convincing the guy to...
Well, the guy's, like, putting glass on it and like, all these terrible things, and he's going to shove it up his ass. Yeah, and just the way he's talking, he's got that creepy German voice. He kind of looks like an old version of, remember the German bad guy in Die Hard? Not Hans Gruber, but his henchman, the blonde guy.
No, I can't remember off the top of my head.
So this German, this German guy looks like a really skinny version of that guy.
Yeah.
But
no, like you said, it does have some heart toward the end, and when it finally gets to the reveal, you're like, oh, okay, so this kind of makes sense.
And it has a really, honestly, heartfelt, like, ending. I mean, I'm not going to say you're crying or anything like that, but this movie I did not expect to feel the way I did at the end of this movie halfway through it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought the jokes were funny. I mean, they're definitely 5th, 6th grade level stuff. I mean, if farts and pegging and guys getting shoved up their butt is hilarious to you, then this might be the movie. I mean, we're talking, David Spade gets a tongue ring he gets a tongue ring put in that actually ended up being a penis ring. And so he's like, he's pulling it out.
Penis stud.
And some of the acting is, I mean, some of these stories is terrible. Like, what's her name? What can I remember her name all of a sudden? The girl at the very end that David Spade falls for. Paula Patton.
Yeah.
Her character, she's obnoxious until later in the movie, but you're just like, this isn't a real character. How did she sign on to be this person? But I mean, there's points in this movie that are just terrible. It's not a good movie, but it is. I'm gonna say it. It's a craptastic movie. I liked it.
Really?
I liked it. I recommend it.
I'm still gonna say it's crap. Because
wow, we have our first crap or craptastic division. Do you want to fight, Ryan?
Yes, I will internet fight with you.
No, go ahead. So you think it's crap? Why?
Well, I think it's crap because I spent the first hour in the movie bored as shit.
Oh, come on. It was funny when he shot. No, when the girls, we got the girls to show. No, when he got the girls to show them their boobs, and then they asked David Spade to drop pants, and so he dropped trowel, and they laughed at him. And then he shot the flare gun at him. That shit was funny.
I chuckled. The only other part I chuckled at was when the guy that's been chasing him pulls up in the car next to him. And he said, God, what was it he said? He said something, how do you like the side of the road? He just hits the car.
Yeah.
The
He
car,
flips.
you know, because usually in the movie, you know, there's like a car fight and stuff like that. Like Adam Sandler car just taps the car, and then that one like just goes off the road and just starts like flipping and doing all this shit.
But then when they take him,
I laughed at that part.
When they take him to the hospital and then it pans out and you see his arm, dude, I was dying.
I mean, and yeah, I mean, it had a couple of parts, but
well,
I think it's. So we've got the second Adam Sandler movie. I think it's obviously way better than Ridiculous 6, but Ridiculous 6 was so far down there on the scale of crap that it's still crap to me.
Ridiculous 6 was garbage. Fantastic 4. You know, maybe it's just the quality of movies we've watched on Crap or Craptastic why I'm actually giving this a Craptastic, but because I mean Hot Tub Time Machine 2 was garbage. Fantastic 4 was hot steaming garbage. Now is this a good movie? So Ryan clearly gives it a crap for all the reasons you just said. Me, I'm gonna say this is Craptastic just for the simple fact that it had more heart than I thought. I was not by the end of the movie. I really did want to know how it ended, and I felt much different than I thought I would, and I cared more about the characters by the end than I thought. David Spade, you can kind of take him or leave him. I really didn't care much about him. Adam Sandler and his story, I was much more vested in his story than David Spade's. But I thought it was funny. There's definitely a lot of missed jokes and times you're just like, wow, this is lowbrow humor at its finest. But ultimately, I think it's worth an hour and 40 minutes of your time. I mean, have a few drinks, sit and watch it. And considering you can watch it for free on Netflix, I'm going to say that this is a craptastic gem, and you should totally check it out.
And I obviously disagree.
What an idiot.
Don't watch it. You don't need to waste your time on it.
You have no soul and don't enjoy fun things, Ryan.
I don't.
No, that's all right. All right. That's okay. Well, there you go. Thanks for joining us on an episode of Crap or Craptastic. We got a request for Joe Dirt, too, so I think that will probably be our next one.
Who said that one? Because I want to punch them in the face.
Ryan is really excited. So
I have been avoiding that movie for a long time.
All right. Well, you're not going to avoid it for much longer. All right. So moving on. A little side note, everybody who's listening. My family, I saw them just pull up in the driveway. They're home a little early, so it sounds like you guys are going to get to hear.
All right. So Faithful 50.
You're going to get to hear my kids screaming and my wife probably yelling at them and maybe yelling at me, and we shall see. All right. So from the Faithful 50, Ryan's phone died, so I will bring up the questions.
Yes.
We had some good ones tonight, too.
Yeah, Phil had a really good one.
All right, so the first Faithful 50 question is from Faithful 50 Private First Class Phil. He says he's stoked for The Killing Joke to come out, the new DC animated movie. Do we think that it's going to be even if it's even moderately successful that they will do an R-rated Death in the Family Batman story?
What's wrong with Death in the Family?
Death in the Family was the death of Robin.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say short and sweet, yes. I think if The Killing Joke is as well received and as good as we all think it's going to be, I think this could open the floodgates for some of DC's darker storylines. And believe me, as a avid DC reader, there is a lot of rated R DC storylines that they can draw from.
Let's do like some Swamp Thing stuff.
Oh, that'd be great.
Easy.
I'm still waiting for a Dark Justice and a Swamp Thing movie, man. I mean, Constantine, that was a rated R movie. That was a great DC property. So, yes, I do think that there will be more. So, all right. And we are both really excited about that. And you can bet your sweet asses we are going to have a full-on Killing Joke review when we...
I am already working with the Warner Brothers representative. So, we should have something going.
We also have
a giveaway.
Oh, nice! We got to do it on the show. We are both super excited for the Killing Joke. We also have Justice League versus Teen Titans animated movie we're going to be reviewing here in the next couple weeks. So we will have that to look forward to as well. If you guys have if you guys have an animated movie that you guys want us to review, please let us know. Like we said earlier, we got a request for Joe Dirt, and we're going to make Ryan watch it. So anything else, let us know. Unless it's some weird stuff. We're not going to watch that.
Yes.
Brian from Washington would like to know, Which video game movie do you think will do better, World of Warcraft or Assassin's Creed? And which video game would we like to see made into a movie?
I'm gonna say Warcraft because I think it has a bigger fan base going off of it.
Yeah, but I think it's currently sitting right now.
Could go either way, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the studio's coming out saying that they're projecting it's not going to do well stateside. It may do better internationally. I'm going to go see it regardless of what the critics say about it. I know it's sitting at 23% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, Rotten Tomatoes isn't the end-all, be-all, but that usually anything under, say, 30% isn't always good. But I think Batman Superman was like 24%, and I liked it. So I do anticipate Warcraft. I think the movie's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to... I think it may be biting off more than it can chew to an extent. And I think the movie may be cramped. I think people who've never played Warcraft may find themselves confused from time to time because it sounds like they are putting a lot of information into this movie.
Oh, yeah. They're dipping way back into like the original 1990s, early 90s Warcraft games. So, well, I mean, it's stuff like when I was in middle school playing Warcraft 2. That kind of storylines.
I only hope that if the movie is good, that it does well enough that it can get the sequels, because apparently, from what I've heard, is it's definitely set up for a lot. This movie is a lot of universe building for future installments. So it sounds like if this movie can do well, that there might be better stories and bigger stories and more, stories you can understand in the future. But I will say the one thing that has got me excited, that has completely sold me, is I want to say Varieties movie reporter said that this movie is more Willow than Lord of the Rings. Now, he said that as a negative, but to me, anything that's comparative to Willow, I'm in. Sign me up.
And what video game would you like to see as a movie?
Oh, real quick, I do think Assassin's Creed, though, is going to end up doing better than Warcraft.
Yes.
Just because I think it looks like I think it's a movie that people may be able to get into a little bit easier than Warcraft, so... a movie I'd like to see, Halo. I want to see a Halo movie because I think it's a great story-rich universe, and I think that it would make an amazing movie if done right. So
they have movies.
I mean like a live action. I'm still sad they didn't end up doing the Neil Blomkamp Halo movie that they were supposed to do. So
I'm going to go with something from the Fallout franchise because that's one of my favorites. So.
Real quick, something we didn't talk about in the news that I just came out today too, just a little side note, video game stuff. The Division, the brand new Tom Clancy game that was just released, is actually being optioned into a movie. Jake Gyllenhaal has signed on to produce and star in The Division, so for Ubisoft. So, and I believe Tom Hardy is developing the Tom Clancy or the Splinter Cell movie. So we have first one up is going to be Assassin's Creed, and then Splinter Cell, and now it sounds like The Division. So movie fans, or video game fans, there is some big Hollywood movies coming out from video game properties. So fingers crossed. Go see if you want to see more of these. Go, even if you're not really into Warcraft, go see Warcraft and go see Assassin's Creed because that is the only way we get more of these. Let's see here. Chris from Washington, he wants to know, do we think The Rock is going to wear out his welcome anytime soon? He thinks that he's the new Vince Vaughn. Cool for a couple of years and then gone. This is kind of coming off the news that The Rock has just been cast in Shane Black's Doc Savage movie coming out.
And I think he kind of nailed on the head right there that he does seem kind of on that trajectory of being that Vince Vaughn. Because Vince Vaughn, he was fucking in everything for like 5 years, and everyone just got tired as shit of looking at him.
Well, I think people still like Vince Vaughn. I just don't think he can. He's not the name. He can't move a movie by himself anymore. I do think The Rock has a lot of charisma, so I very rarely watch a Rock movie that isn't at least entertaining. So usually when you see The Rock stars in something, you kind of go, it's got The Rock in it. I'm sure it'll be a fun movie.
Even that Hercules movie was all right.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't the greatest movie.
Yeah, San Andreas, dumb as hell, still a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, that was actually I thought it was a pretty good natural disaster movie. So.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's some parts in that movie that make no sense. But yeah, it was a fun movie. Yeah. I really enjoyed it as far as a natural disaster movie. It was fun. It was a great movie. It was an entertaining movie. It was super entertaining.
Yeah.
His new Central Intelligence movie is coming out, I believe, in a couple weeks. He's got the show Ballers on HBO, which isn't a good show, but once again, The Rock is super charismatic, so I watch it because it's entertaining as hell. He's got what else? He's got on. He's got Black Adam in the new Shazam movie. He's playing Doc Savage. He's in the new Jumanji remake. So I do think there could get
Fast and Furious
Fast
7.
and Furious. Apparently they're doing a spinoff. They're going to do a Hobbs spinoff now from the Fast and Furious. So yes, Chris, to answer your question, yes, I do think that at some point there could be some fatigue with him. But people seem to love him, and God bless him. His ticket's hot, and he's punching it.
Pretty much.
Make as many things as you can, but people who are as lovable as The Rock, personally, like when you see him, he's always doing great things with kids. He's always embracing his fans. Those guys do seem to have a little bit longer shelf life because you never go like, oh, that guy's a douche. I don't like him anymore.
Yeah, and he's making shitloads of money, so he's not going anywhere until he stops making shitloads.
He could be more Tom Cruise and less Vince Vaughn in the long run, so we'll see.
That's true.
There's a guy who everyone thought the same thing, and even though he is kind of douchey, he still manages to make good movies, and people go see him. Let's see here. I don't know. Phil, I just saw this one. Phil has, I don't think it's a question, but we have one more on here from Phil, so I'm going to read it. It says, after getting home from a 12-hour workday, my kid was jumping on the couch and smashed my balls not once but twice in 10 minutes. After I told him to stop, am I a bad dad for telling him, fuck you? No. I think we've all been there. I think as long as you don't assault him or,
Yeah, I've had plenty of times where my kids, due to the accidental knee drop from 5 feet up, jumping off the couch. So,
well, I think there's times as parents where you are just like, you don't know what to do. So I think as long as you never take it to violence, and you just don't like verbally assault your child, I think occasionally screaming out an expletive deletive, you can. I think you're fine. I think you're an okay parent.
You're a good Phil.
You're a good parent, Phil. Well, we hope so. You just had another kid. You brought him into the world. All right. Well, thank you as always. Thank you everybody for your questions. You can always find us on Facebook if you want to leave us a question or ask us anything or contribute to the show in any way whatsoever. Or you can also find us on Twitter at the Geek Dad Report. So feel free to hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. And thank you for participating, everybody. All right. So finally, our last segment of the night. Weekly recommendations, as always. What you should or should not waste your time doing. Ryan, we got 3 minutes. Knock it out.
Well, as I said earlier, I had a lot of time to do nothing around my apartment for Memorial Day weekend. So I started watching Bob's Burgers for the first time. And because it's on Netflix.
Fox, right?
Yeah, it was on Fox. There are like 8 seasons on Netflix. Okay. I started watching it, and I thought it would be a show I would just kind of turn on and just do while I was doing stuff, just have it on in the background. And no, that didn't happen. I ended up sitting there and watching the whole damn thing. So, yeah, it was definitely worth it if you got Netflix and you need a new show to watch. Check out Bob's Burgers. It's awesome. It's funny as shit. So.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. I did watch the guy who does the dad's voice on Bob is the same guy who does the voice of Archer.
Yep.
So I've seen the two. They did like an Archer episode on Bob's Burgers, and then on Archer they did like this Bob's Burger episode where they went into Bob's Burgers.
Okay. I'll have to look for that.
Yeah, those are like the only two I've seen because I love Archer and they were pretty funny. So, sorry for that whistle, everybody. I was getting our music ready for the end of the show, and I was not trying to cut Ryan off. I mean, I am a dick, but I'm not trying to be a dick.
When they start playing the music.
It was funny. I saw the whistle. I saw your eyes. You know what? That was professional, though. You just kind of kept going right through it. So I commend you, Ryan. Gold star for you, buddy.
Because I was like, fuck you, Brian. I'm going to finish the story.
Your eyes were like, what the hell was that loud-ass noise? So for my weekly recommendation, I'm going to do something I don't usually do. Recommend a book. Yes, people, I can read. And look, it doesn't even have pictures. It's actually a word book. So all you people who think I'm stupid, well, you can just go to hell. I can read. Yeah, sure, I read Star Wars books, but hey, whatever. No, this is Bloodline. This is the new Star Wars. I don't know, the new book from Disney Star Wars. It actually tells the story of Princess Leia. This is one of the first books that expands upon some of the stuff we've seen in The Force Awakens. The other books, there was the Force Awakens novelization, and then there was Aftermath, which took place right after Return of the Jedi and gave away almost nothing from the new movies. But This one ties right into Leia is currently in the new Senate, and it ties right into the Resistance and how it's formed. And it doesn't. I haven't finished the book yet. I'm giving the recommendation because I'm only a quarter of the way through, and it's fantastic, and I'm just blowing through it. It's a lot of Senate stuff and diplomatic stuff, but unlike the prequels, this one's actually really entertaining. It moves along really fast, and it kind of gives you an insight into the characters, where they are now. It's got Han in it. It's got Leia in it. They talk about Ben a lot. So, like I said, really good book if you want to know kind of what led into it. And as you can see, Darth Vader in the background. This deals with the world finding out that Darth Vader is Princess Leia's father. So that's some of the side story in this book. But really, really good book. It actually, to me, in a lot of ways, is a prequel to, well, not a direct prequel, but has prequel elements of The Force Awakens. So if you want to know what's kind of happened in that time frame, this is definitely a book that dives into some of that. So, recommend it. It's from Claudia Gray. Good book. You can only get it right now on hardcover, hardback, so it's a little more spendy, but I think you can get it for $16 on Amazon. I definitely recommend it. So, Star Wars Bloodline, good book.
Is Luke in it at all?
You know what? He hasn't been so far, so I don't know if he's already left. Like I said, maybe by the end they tell, but it doesn't tell exactly how many years before The Force Awakens this book is. Princess Leia and Han Solo are still together at the beginning of this, so, but they have said decades have passed since the Empire fell. So I'm kind of guessing this is somewhere between 20 to 25 years after.
So Kylo Ren could be like a baby.
Yeah, like there's a point in the beginning where she's thinking back to. She's daydreaming about Han, and she's daydreaming about Han with Ben in his arm, and they're talking about him being a father and stuff. So, I mean, this is in the time frame. This is definitely when Ben's kind of a kid. So, I don't know. When I finish it, there's more information. Like I said, this is not a complete review of this book. Maybe I'll give an actual review when I'm finished. I just really liked it a lot. So, from what I've already read, I can recommend it. So that's why I'm saying check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah. So anyway.
That's our show.
That's our show for this week, everybody. Thanks again for joining us for another fan-fricking-tastic episode. At least I hope you think it's fan-fricking-tastic. We think it's fan-fricking-tastic.
I think it's fan-fricking-tastic because I need to go to bed.
Yeah, and if you think it's fan-fricking-tastic, don't forget to share, subscribe, like, send us emails, text messages, twit pics. I don't really care. Get a hold of us anyway, and like, subscribe, and follow.
If you want to come into our house and give us back massages while we sleep,
you can do that at Ryan's house. He lives in Philadelphia. He lives at 123 Ryan's Way Avenue.
Philadelphia Lane.
All right, well, unless you got anything else, you can find me at Brian West 53 and on Facebook, Brian West, and him at Big Bruiser. Yeah. Ryan Thomason. So.
That stuff.
All right, guys. On that note, we'll see you next week. Have a glorious weekend, everybody.
Bye.
And one of these days I'll get the right song.
I remember coming up, not even a buck, ain't even a cent to make a